for the little man pays a bigger price. Take another hit, just get it over with. We're a little sick, you see. Can't stay down no more, we gotta make it known. So get back up, you're not alone. Then hit 'em back, leave 'em gripping to the floor. You never had a choice, they're knocking at your door. Remember, my friend, it's time and this is war. It's time and this is war.
Good God, I love this game. Foxhole is a persistent World War MMO. So you might be asking yourself, what the hell does that mean? Well, you've got two factions of players, the Wardens and Colonials. Both of these teams fight for territory on a world map, and this territory is split into instant zones that players can travel between. Over the course of many real-world days, weeks, or even months, players will fight over this territory and try and win their side of the war. The world map is huge, with many different biomes for you to fight and die over, and believe me, you will die a lot. Now, Foxhole doesn't operate like your standard top-down shooter affair. This is war, after all, so it's time we talk about the most exciting part.
Logistics.
What? You thought I was going to talk about shooting the bad men? No. Just like every major conflict in real life, the unsung heroes are the poor bastards who have to haul shit to the front line. If it wasn't for Joe Schmo ferrying much-needed supplies, the war machine would grind to a halt. Much like other sandbox MMOs, players are responsible for creating and gathering all the supplies in the game. Whether it's raw resources, weapons, vehicles, or even laundry. All of this has to be crafted and shipped to wherever it is needed most. This results in player-made supply lines forming naturally, and enemy players infiltrating friendly territory and attempting to disrupt them. And so much more that I just do not have time to go into. If you're new to this game, you may initially dismiss this playstyle as boring, but I assure you, there couldn't be anything further from the truth. It's incredibly gratifying when you deliver much-needed supplies to the front line. Or at least it is once you fully grasp the impact you have. Sure, you're not the one lobbing gas grenades at enemy trenches, but you're making a real impact on the war that's being fought. Without you, none of this works.
Building.
Leading into our next topic very nicely, players can then use these resources to dramatically shape the world around them. Building vast bunker systems, artillery batteries, trenches, supply depots. You get the idea. There's a large array of structures that players can construct. This leads to some really impressive constructions and makes holding positions much less of a nightmare for those that like to shoot things. Just like everything else in the war, building structures requires resources. So someone needs to go gather up the much needed building materials in order to facilitate this. Just like their brothers in arms and logistics, builders are absolutely essential. Good luck defending from a tank rush if you don't have any defensive structures.
Shooty bits.
Alright. This is the piece that most of you are probably waiting for. So naturally, a game about a persistent world war has a lot of combat in it. Combat-oriented players make the push to capture and hold territory across the world map. And since the setting of this game is basically the First World War, except it never ended, you can expect a lot of hopeless charges into entrenched enemy positions where about 90% of the dudes around you don't make it to the other side. Do we rush them, boys?
We've got a lot of people here for a push.
Oh, bad idea. Combat is brutal. You will die frequently and often needlessly. As I alluded to before, to sustain this meat grinder, you need those supplies to keep flowing to the front line. Otherwise, everything breaks down, and your team will quickly find themselves on the back foot. As a First World War buff myself, I absolutely adore this. Oftentimes you'll be fighting for the same position on the same map for hours, days, or even weeks, watching hundreds of your fellow comrades die all around you, or being blown to pieces yourself. If that sounds awful, it's not. It really grounds you in the experience. You feel like you're a part of something bigger than yourself, and, well, you are. You and the 100 other people around you might be stuck fighting over the same fucking bridge for hours and hours and hours, while the players on the other side of the map are making a breakthrough that will ultimately win you the war. It's absolutely incredible. There's nothing else like it on the market. The closest thing, by far, would have been PlanetSide. No, not that one. As the war drags on, players research new and better technology, thanks again to our wonderful friends in logistics. This opens up completely new avenues of gameplay to explore. The hopeless charges across open fields turn into games of cat and mouse between dueling tank columns. Artillery bombardments so huge that you actually develop PTSD. Oh, that's so unnerving.
God, I know.
With one of the latest updates, the world actually changes around you because of this as well. Towns and cities get completely destroyed throughout the course of a war, along with the fields and wherever else you find yourself. It's a big game, and the constantly changing state of the world map, the war effort, everything ensures that it's fresh and exciting to return to every single day.
Community.
Most multiplayer games live and die on their communities. And sadly, like most MMOs or multiplayer games, you're going to encounter toxic assholes. But Foxhole genuinely, at least in my opinion, has a great community, with many friendly players who coordinate with each other using the in-game voice chat or text. It's incredibly refreshing to play a game where 90% of the player base isn't going to shout at you because you're new, or you don't know how things work. Genuinely, almost every single interaction I've had with another player in this game has been positive. Now, my experience may differ from yours, but it's worth mentioning as so often the enjoyment of team games can be completely crippled by a shitty community. Again, that's not to say that you won't encounter people like that. They still certainly have a presence in this game. But if you've ever played CS, Dota, League of Legends, World of Warcraft, whatever, the difference is night and day. Like, I don't know that the people who say this game has a shitty community have ever actually played a game with a shitty community. And I can only hope that as the game continues to develop and change, that it remains this way. Part of me would certainly die a little if this community turned to trash.
Alright. Private, get out there and grab a submachine gun. There you go. Nothing goes to waste.
Yeah. Right. Hey Brett, do me a solid, do me a favor.
Sure.
Can you put in his report that he's gone a little in the head?
Conclusion.
If anything I've just said piqued your interest, seriously consider checking this game out. As I said before, there's nothing else quite like it, and I think you're in for an unforgettable experience. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I've had a lot of fun making this one, and I hope it comes through. If you're at all interested in seeing more of my stuff, I've made a Saurian video. It's a dinosaur sim. It's very different from this First World War nightmare. Anyway, thank you again for watching, and do take care. Bye.
Help!
Hey, somebody.
I love you.